Hey clowns, welcome to Crimelia Street. I'm Sam,
And I'm Tori.
and we are gathered here today for our 33rd episode, I believe.
Wow.
There. We still got to plan
hmm
our
hmm
50th episode extravaganza somehow. We got to
We
figure out
do.
something.
I have done a little bit of planning on my end,
Ooh, nice. Okay. Okay.
just with like a surprise of
Oh
sorts.
my goodness. Okay. I'll be looking forward to it. So I need to get my
Shit
my
in
shit in
gear.
gear, exactly.
Just
No,
kidding.
need to get these wheels turning. So, but how was your day?
It was kind of worky. It's Thursday,
Worky,
so.
yeah.
And like people kept telling me have a good weekend, and I kept having to check the calendar. I'm like, is it Friday? Like why are multiple people
Right.
saying and then I check the calendar and be like, no, it's not Friday. And then someone else would say it. And I'm like, oh, is it
It's like stop
Friday?
getting my hopes up, man. It's
Right.
rude.
Right. I can't recall another time when people have ever said that on a Thursday to me, but
Yeah.
maybe they were
Yeah, something
confused.
was going on. And this weekend is the time change, I believe. Right?
It is. Yeah.
So,
And we've had some weird moon stuff going on, so
yes.
maybe that's
Like the
contributing.
blood
Big
moon.
moons. We almost came in with the same names today. So mine was going to be Your Eyes Shine Brighter in
Mm,
Tupelo, I think was what mine was going to be. And then Sam's is Stars in Tupelo.
yep.
It was so close. And then I changed mine last minute. But Sam tonight is Stars in Tupelo, which I'm assuming is a bit of a nod to us finding out that Dorothea is about Selena.
Yes, it was officially confirmed. We all kind of knew I felt right, but like we can speculate all we want because sometimes we might be totally wrong. Like the
Right, right.
black dog, everyone assumed it was the
hmm
black dog pub, and she's like, "No, people still don't know what I'm talking about." But I'm like, is that a
Right.
red herring there? Because like,
Is it?
right, like what else could it be? I'm sure it could be lots of things. We were pretty sure it was about Selena Gomez, but she confirmed it. So,
I feel like we never actually get confirmations like that. Like, I feel like Taylor really likes to keep us in the dark
mhm.
as far as like it could be that, or like, I feel like she almost does it because like we can create all these different things that it could be. And then she's not canceling any of those out
Yeah.
either, you know? So it is whatever like you want it to be type of
Hmm.
thing. It was interesting to get an actual confirmation if it's
Yes,
validating.
super validating. And I do like how things can be left up to interpretation, as you said.
Yeah, yeah. And I've always loved that song. It's the little like melody is just so floaty and light and
Hmm.
I don't know. I've always loved it.
Yeah, for sure.
So a while ago, a long time ago when we first started this, we were doing talking about our bevies every night
Oh, yeah.
because we're big bevy
Hmm.
girlies. And I don't know why we fell away from that.
Right. We need to get back at it.
Yeah, and I brought some bevies today, so I figured it would be a good night to get back at
Okay.
it. I have the assortment.
Hmm.
I have my IPA. You guys know I usually have some kind of alcohol bevy, so that's tick check that. Then I have my hydrating bevy. We've got a lime LaCroix.
Hmm. Oh.
And then I've got my chai tea in case I need a little pick me
Love
up.
that.
I get tired. But this one makes me a little nervous also because I do need to sleep after this. So, I've had a couple
Okay.
sips. I might leave it at that. We'll
Well,
see.
true. It's
We'll
like
see.
the beer and the water and the liqueur will cancel out any caffeine in the chai.
It true. Yeah. I mean, I think it all kind of cancels itself out so that I'll just be
Right.
normal.
Right. No more hydrated, but no less as well. So we're
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
Um, I actually, I my Owala is back there on the counter. I forgot to get it, but I just simply have a Culver's Diet Coke. that I just had at dinner that I am
Mm.
enjoying because it's still nice and crisp. So,
Local versus bomb.
and I don't have an alcohol bevy tonight. Maybe next time. So,
That's
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And Tori, continuing on with the theme, of course, as we do, which we usually do not know. So it works.
Unplanned.
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 Is nothing or nothing but well wishes for you, which is also Dorothea. Yay.
All right. Should we fuck shit up?
Yep. Let's do it.
Fuck it
Let's
up.
fuck it up.
Tonight we're going to talk about the disappearance of a 9-year-old girl under pretty crazy circumstances. And this case is over 26 years old and has yet to be solved. When I initially heard about this case, it was actually a few years ago. And to me, it left me with like a similar feeling as the Robert Wan case did, where it just felt like no matter which way you look at it, you just end up with more answers and just like going down all these like rabbit holes and crazy paths and probably 1,000 red herrings and just feels like overwhelming and just like more questions than answers. We are going to talk about the disappearance of Asha Degree, a 9-year-old girl who lived in Shelby, North Carolina, which is a small town outside of Charlotte. Asha was born August 5th, 1990. She's like our age.
Oh, wow.
And Taylor's.
That's crazy. It's wild. I know we've kind of talked about this, but it's like when we talk about cases that we've been like alive for, it's just wild that we were out and about during, you know what I mean? Like just living our lives when all these things were happening. Anyway.
Living our lives when like some people were having like the worst, imaginable days of their lives. Yeah. Asha was a good student and a star point guard of her basketball team. We'll get more into what that is in a little bit because I did have to look it up. Harold and Aquila Degree were Asha's parents. Asha also had a lot of family support nearby as well. Several of her family members lived in the same neighborhood. Asha also had a little brother who was just 11 months younger than she was, and his name was O'Brien. Naturally, due to them being so close in age, Asha and O'Brien were close, and they both played basketball. So at this point, we're jumping forward to the year 2000. Okay. In a lot of conversations around this case, it's kind of made to be a big deal that the Degrees didn't have a computer in the home. It was like the late 1990s to early 2000s, so it was a little odd, I guess, not to have a computer. Like we did in my family at that time. But I feel like it also was at the time where like everyone had a computer. So yeah, we were 10.
Yeah, I definitely remember having I think we had a computer at like, I remember being 4.
Oh, wow. I remember we got one, I think when I was like 8 or so. And then everyone had to share it, and it was like the dial-up. So if someone called, I think you got knocked off the internet. It was something like that. I can't remember.
And you could tell when you were about to get knocked off because it would make a slightly different sound or something would. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's about to happen.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh. Yeah. And it would make that noise like when you had to get on AOL.
Right. Oh, wow. When a time to be alive.
So are her parents like in the discussion around this case, especially like some of the earlier coverage, not in the more recent years, I find a lot of people like talking about how her parents are like overprotective because they didn't have a computer in the house, or like they live like a super sheltered life because there wasn't a computer in the house. Asha's parents did state that they didn't want a computer in the house because they're concerned about predators, which like I feel like not enough parents had that foresight at that. Like they just literally just didn't know. Right. But
yeah, no, but ahead of their time.
Those chat rooms were crazy.
They really were. We had no business being in there.
No. Certainly
even
not.
If it was like the Checkers MSN ones, like those would get wild too, like
dude. Yes.
Yeah.
So like honestly, kudos to
Yeah.
them for having that
Hmm.
foresight. And it doesn't seem like they really lived a sheltered life other than that. Like they went to church, they did extracurriculars, basketball things, they had like good social lives, they hung out with kids in the neighborhood. It's not like they were never like allowed to leave the house or like they had helicopter parents or anything like that. Because Aisha and O'Brien weren't spending a lot of time online like some of us were in the early 2000s. Aisha's life revolved mostly around family, friends, basketball, and church. It just seems that Aisha was generally, by all accounts, a really good kid. When teachers and fellow students were interviewed about Aisha, they all said that Aisha was a great student and didn't have any other issues with any other students and had never mentioned running away at all. In fact, Aisha had only even missed one day of school up until this point, which had been back in September, which is pretty
Yeah.
good. I feel like I was trying to stay home from school all the
Right.
time.
Oh, yeah. And like never to be sick and, or maybe just go to school
Right.
anyway, which, I guess that's not good either.
Not anymore. Not
Right.
anymore. Back then, though, it was praised.
Right. Right. Oh, dear.
So, February 12th, 2000 is where we're going to hop to now. Aisha had a basketball game and then a sleepover with her cousins, which was an actual dozen of her cousins. She had a lot of family members that lived like in or very close to this neighborhood. Aisha was the star point guard, which essentially is the person who controls the ball on the offensive. Do you know anything about basketball?
Not too much. No.
Okay. Okay, just making sure I'm not like girl
Right.
splaining, I guess it would be.
No.
The point guard, I guess, is the one who controls the ball for the offensive movement for the team and kind of make sure the ball gets to where it should be at the right
Hmm.
time. So they have the ball the most, I think. But in this game on the 12th, she fouled out, which I also had to look into, which means that she accumulated too many personal fouls allowed for the duration of the game. So she had to sit the rest of the game out, which actually led to her team losing. And it was their first loss of the season. They were undefeated
Oh.
up until this point. A lot of theories, the only reason I mention that is a lot of theories about this case say that, like, she was maybe upset about losing that basketball game. But later that evening, she had that sleepover with all of her cousins. And a lot of the cousins mentioned that she seemed like she was in a great mood. She was happy. She was dancing around. It doesn't seem like she, like, carried the sadness into the night, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. She seemed to shake it off.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
So, Sunday, February 13th, the family woke up. They went to church like they usually do on a Sunday. At some point during the day, Aisha ended up getting a headache. So, she went to sleep early around 6:30. But then a big storm rolled in later that night and she ended up waking up from the thunder. The storm caused some bad road conditions, and there was a car accident nearby where a car actually slid into a power line that knocked power out to their house around 9:30. Usually the kids would shower before bed if they had school the next morning, but because the power was out and there was nothing to do, Harold and Aquila had Aisha and O'Brien get ready for bed and just go to sleep. Aisha had gone to sleep wearing a white nightgown with a teddy bear on the front, and Aisha and O'Brien shared a room. Aquila ended up staying on the couch for a bit, and this is where the timeline gets a little bit murky. And I feel like this happens a lot, like with cases that are 26 years old. It almost seems like the longer it goes, like the murkier the timeline gets. There's conflicting reports of when Harold exactly went to bed. The original article he was quoted in from the Charlotte Observer, which was like the first article that came out, so like closest to the time that it actually happened, Harold says that he went to bed at 12:30 and checked on the kids before bed. And then there's later accounts and later articles of Harold saying that he went to bed at 2:30 a.m. and same thing, he checked on the kids before going to bed and they were both in their beds. So not sure if it's 12:30 or 2:30. I tend to believe the one that's like closer to the time of the incident, but who knows?
Hmm.
Aquila says she fell asleep on the couch. The power came back on and kind of startled her awake. It was a little bit after midnight. She checked on the kids and then went to bed. So she went to bed sometime a little bit after midnight, and then Harold went to bed either 12:30 or 2:30, one of those.
Hmm.
And the kids were in their bed when they went to bed. O'Brien says that he remembers Aisha getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. She turned the light on, went to the bathroom, which was right across the hall from their bedroom, and then came back to bed. And he thought it to be around 2:30 a.m. So I'm guessing they didn't have like a clock in their
Hmm.
room or he didn't look at it, but he, I guess, felt like it was around 2:30 in the morning. It's important to note that the next day was Valentine's Day on February 14th. And obviously, that's a holiday, but it also was Harold and Aquila's anniversary on Valentine's Day, which is so cute.
Yeah.
Aquila says she woke up at 5:45 and usually she would wake the kids up for school at 6:30, but because they didn't get a shower the night before, she wanted to wake them up just a little bit earlier on this day to get them in the shower. So she woke up and started running the bath water. When Aquila goes into the kids' room to wake them up for school, Aisha was not there. Aisha and Harold checked the entire house, obviously, first thing, and they checked with family members who lived nearby. When they can't find Aisha, they end up calling 911. Officers arrive pretty quickly, with the first officer arriving on scene before 7 a.m. and with a large police presence on the scene by 7 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, they responded really quickly. Canines were brought in, but they were not able to pick up on Aisha's scent. By noon, helicopters with infrared technology were searching the area and a command was set up at a nearby church. The search went until dark and then picked up again at next late in the morning. After searching the home, it was found that some items were missing from Aisha's room. There were some clothes that were missing, which included the outfit that she had been wearing the day before, which was white jeans, a white tennis shoes, a white t-shirt with purple lettering that had been custom made for their family reunion from the year before that happened in Atlanta. The nightgown that Aisha wore to bed was also missing, Aisha's favorite jeans and a matching vest, a Tweety Bird overalls, and her basketball uniform.
Wow.
Which the basketball uniform is interesting
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also missing her black backpack and her house key, which she kept inside the backpack, and a black purse with Tweety Bird on it. Out of the items that were missing, it appears Aisha left her home also without a coat. And that's kind of wild because it was raining and storming this night, and it's February in North Carolina. So it was about 46 degrees, and it even felt as low as 36 degrees with rain and strong winds over 15 miles per hour
Wow.
on this night. So, yeah, I just can't imagine a little 9-year-old girl
Not doing that.
going out into those conditions and not having a coat, and obviously she
Yeah, she had the
packed.
time to, or, whatever happened, there was time to gather all the other items. So, yeah, very
Right.
strange.
It's also important to note here that the doors were locked when Aquila woke up in the morning and there's no sign of forced entry. And besides the items mentioned above, nothing unusual was in the home and nothing was missing and nothing was out of place. So it appears that Aisha just packed up her stuff and left the house and locked the door behind her. There were witnesses who believed they saw Aisha walking on the side of NC State Route 18, which is also called Falston Road, between 3:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m., just walking on the side of the highway heading south. And you can pull up the map of the
Hmm.
house, and it just shows like how close the road is to her house.
Hmm.
Also, the map is in black and white because when I made the map, I went back in time and I made sure that I did it closer to the imagery from when this happened.
Okay.
So this imagery was in like 1998, a couple years before. It was either that or
Oh,
2005.
wow.
Back to the witnesses from 3:30 to 4:30 a.m. An unnamed trucker sees someone who matches Aisha's description about a mile from her house on Falston Road. This highway is a 2-lane highway with a speed limit of about 45 miles per hour. And it's right outside of Aisha's neighborhood, which you could see on the map. And there's no lights along the road either, so it's pretty dark. Jeff Rupp was another witness. He's a trucker for a bottling company. And he said that he drove by Aisha and he wasn't sure what he saw the first time. So he circled back, didn't see her that time, and then circled back again. And that time he did see her. And he said he saw a little girl with a backpack wearing a white dress and had white shoes on. The white dress is probably her white nightgown that she went to bed in. Rupp then saw Aisha veering off the highway and walking into the woods. And it wasn't until the next morning when he saw a report about Aisha that he contacted police. And you can pull up a photo which shows the street view of the area where she walked into the woods at. And this is around the time of the year that she would have walked into the woods too. So you can see there were street views of this also in the summer, and those trees are like covered in leaves and stuff. But this was in March, which is pretty close to February. And you can see the trees are pretty like bare. During the day, you can see right through them, but I'm sure at night it's a little more
Right.
hard to see like a little girl running into the
And
woods.
how
But
spooky is that for you to
right,
see as well?
yeah.
And it being
And he said that
cold.
she looked.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. And he said that she never even looked up at him. He just felt like she knew where she was going.
Wow. Okay.
Rupp took investigators to the spot, the portion of the road where he saw Aisha, and it is like a woodier portion of the road, which you can see in the street view. But it's not like woody for long. You can also see that if you go like between the two photos. It's just like a very short stretch of like little
It's
woods
like a
there.
patch of trees. Yeah.
Yeah, you would drive through it in a
Mhm.
second, 2 seconds
Mhm.
maybe. So where Rep saw her was actually a property owned by Charles Turner, who owns a upholstery business that still operates today. And that's where that street view was taken. And then you can pull up a map that shows the path from Aisha's house to that upholstery place. So that's 1.1 miles from her house down this highway. Roy Blanton Sr., who is a former Cleveland County Sheriff's deputy, and his son Roy Jr. say they saw someone walking south about 4:30 a.m. at the intersection of 180 and North Carolina 18, and were worried she'd be hit by a truck. So Roy used a CB radio to alert other truckers to this person. He said that it was a small figure wearing white clothing, and he actually thought it was a woman and not a small child, and that maybe it could have been some kind of domestic violence issue, and that's why she was out in the middle of the night. Again, he was a former deputy, so maybe, I don't know, that's where his head goes to. But it does seem that he probably saw Aisha. The area where Blanton saw Aisha 30 minutes after Rupp saw her was about a half mile down the road at the intersection of 180 and NC 18, about 1.5 miles from her house. Tracking dogs were brought out to where Aisha was last seen, and they were never able to pick up Aisha's scent. Police searched the Turners' property on horseback. The Turners also searched their own property as well. There was an outbuilding with a shed without a door on it that was once used as a chicken house, but was now used to house old and spare farm equipment. In the shed, the Turners found some items that they did not put there. Included in the items was a school photo of a little black girl close in age to Aisha. The Turners told reporters that it's not uncommon for photos to fall out of old furniture, and since they did own an upholstery business, maybe that's where it came from. The photo was taken to police, and Aisha's family did not recognize the photo. Because they didn't recognize the photo, the Turners assumed that it was just some random photo that didn't mean anything, and that all the other items that were found there that they didn't put there as well were also just random items that didn't mean anything. So they didn't turn those other items over, and they just ended up sitting them on their porch. On Thursday, the 17th, searchers found a candy wrapper near the same outbuilding. When they asked the Turners about this, the Turners mentioned that they had found some other items as well. Aisha's family actually did recognize some of these items as belonging to Aisha. The items that belonged to Aisha included a yellow, like, plastic hair beret with the little teddy bear on it. You remember those little, I feel like you don't see those
Yeah.
much anymore, but
Yeah.
a white pencil that said Atlanta on it, a pen, and a marker. There were also other candy wrappers, which were some of Aisha's favorite candy as well. And Aisha did receive Valentine's Day candy the weekend before her disappearance, so these could have belonged to Aisha. After this lead came in, interviews were conducted for people who lived near and on the property. Unfortunately, no more leads were found for quite some time, and on Sunday, February 19th, the search was called off indefinitely. However, the investigation continued. A theory at this point was that Aisha ran into the woods and to the outbuilding when Rupp was turning his truck around, like circling around, because she was freaked out by that, and hid out in that outbuilding for a little bit before heading back on her walk, and then was spotted 30 minutes later about a half mile down the road. Turns out, though, to get to that outbuilding from the road, Aisha would have had to cross the equivalent of 2 football fields uphill and would have had to cross a 3-foot deep gully. So that's
Right.
a lot to ask of a 9-year-old girl in the dark
Storming.
and storming. It's just like, it's almost hard for anyone to do
Yeah.
that in that amount of time with it storming. And she was really afraid of dogs as well, which comes into play because there was a man, a reverend of a church, who lived right next to that outbuilding, and he had a bunch of beagles that lived in this dog run right behind the house. And he said that they would bark if anything, like if any person, any squirrel,
Yeah.
anything came near the property. So it was raining, so maybe that like affected them hearing
Right.
if a person came to the outbuilding. But that is interesting because she wouldn't have hung out there probably with the dogs barking,
Right.
you know, or even that close to the dogs.
Yeah.
So Aisha's family also says that she had never known the Turners, they never knew the Turners, and there's no way that Aisha could have even known that that building was there as well. So quite a little side quest.
Yeah. And just to happen to find like that.
Right. And then to hang out long enough to like leave a couple things and some candy wrappers. So it's over a year before the Degree family gets another lead. On August 6th, 2001, the day after Aisha's 11th birthday, construction workers were grading a path for a driveway in Burke County about 25 miles away from where Aisha was last seen, off the same road, NC 18 South. While grading the driveway, they found a black plastic bag. Inside the black plastic bag was another plastic bag, and inside that plastic bag was a black backpack with Aisha's name and phone number on it.
Goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So the construction workers were concerned at finding this with it wrapped in plastic and everything, and they immediately called the police. And you can pull up the next photo, and that shows, you can see Aisha's house at the bottom of the map, and then all the way up top there is where the backpack was found. That was about 26 miles away, but along on that same stretch of road.
Right.
Going in the opposite direction that Aisha was going.
Wow. That is so eerie. I hate it.
Yeah. The fact that it's wrapped up, I really hate
Right.
that.
Double wrapped up, so far away. Do we know if she had a flashlight or anything? Did they ever say?
There's no mention of it.
Gosh, this is so weird.
Yeah, because you would think a little girl would want some kind of light. The contents of the backpack were immediately shared with the public, but early reports did say that inside there was clothing, a piece of paper, and a pencil case, and that most of the stuff in the backpack belonged to Aisha. The backpack was sent out for testing. The property where the backpack was found was thoroughly searched, but no more leads were found. Then we have several years again before there's another lead. Several years. May of 2016 is the next lead. So 15 years later. And the FBI, they did decide to like take a fresh look at it in 2015. So I'm assuming this is a result of that. But in 2016, the FBI and Cleveland County sheriffs released a new tip that they had received. We don't know when they received the tip, but they decided to share it with the public at this point. that someone matching Aisha's description was seen getting into a car on NC-18 around the area where Aisha was last seen. The vehicle was described as an early 1970s Lincoln Mark IV or Thunderbird with rust around the wheel wells, and it was a green car. And they're pretty distinctive cars, especially a green
Oh,
one.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So that feels like a decent lead.
Mm-hmm.
More time passes. In 2018, sheriffs released more information about some of the items that were found in Aisha's bag, items that did not belong to Aisha. So they said back in 2001 that most of the items belonged to her. These few items didn't. It was a copy of Dr. Seuss's McElliot's Pool and a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt. These are interesting. So the officers say that the library records don't for the school don't go back that far. But if anyone knows someone who had this book around that time, or if they had this book and lost track of it, to reach out to police. So it sounds like police don't think that Aisha was the one who had this book.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it was from her school library.
Okay. Right. I wonder, it's like, how do you automatically rule that out? But,
Yeah,
or
me
maybe
too.
they didn't automatically rule it out, but how would they know?
Right. And maybe it's just something they don't want to share with us,
Right.
but I have questions about that as well. And then the New Kids on the Block t-shirt was definitely not Aisha's. Her parents said they'd never heard of her being interested in this band. They were kind of past their prime
Right.
too in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So it seems like it would have been someone who was maybe a little older than Aisha who this belonged to. So we're skipping ahead quite a bit again. I want to say too, before we go forward, when I first heard about this case, this is where it ended for me, was with the New Kids on the Block. Sure, it was like, I think 2023 when I first heard about this. So that's what, like, my brain, it just like, it goes into so many directions.
Wow.
It's like what, and every direction you go, it's like you just end up with 12 more questions than answers, you know?
Right. Wow.
Luckily, we do have more now.
Yay.
And luckily, have really been like not neglecting this case. You know, they keep revisiting it. So in September of 2024, Cleveland County Sheriff investigators publicly state that they do believe Aisha was murdered,
Wow.
which is awful. And get this, also September of 2024, a green 1964 AMC Rambler was towed from the Deadman's residence, which looks very similar to a 1970s Thunderbird.
Wow. Okay.
So the Deadmans, they live about 4 miles from the Degree home. The Deadmans in question include Roy and Connie Deadman and their 3 daughters, Lizzie Deadman Foster, because she got married, Sarah Deadman Capel, because she got married, and Anna Lee Deadman Ramirez, because she got married. So everyone's been married, I think. So I'm assuming that's why they have multiple last names. The home of Roy and Connie Deadman was searched in connection to Aisha's disappearance. They also owned a few, it seems like I could only find one assisted living facility that they definitely owned, but it seems like they owned multiple assisted living facilities. Northbrook Rest Home is the one that comes up the most with this case because it's actually has like search warrants and stuff for it. So they searched the house that was 4 miles from Aisha, and then they also took DNA swabs from Roy, Connie, and Anna Lee Deadman. February 13th, 2025, the phones of Roy, Sarah, and Lizzie Deadman were searched. The Deadmans have denied any involvement and no arrests have been made. There are no known connections between the Degrees and the Deadmans. The car in question, the green car that was towed, was given to Lizzie Deadman a year before Aisha's disappearance. Warrants stated that the Deadman daughters would frequently transport patients from Broughton Hospital via NC-18 in the early 2000s in this green car. And the path from Broughton to Northbrook to their home is all along Highway 18. And you can pull that up on the map. You can see Broughton Hospital's at the top, that red dot.
Mhm.
And then Northbrook Rest Home is in the middle, which is where one of their assisted living facilities. So they would transport patients along there. And then their home is all the way at the bottom, that like purple dot under Aisha's house. And also notice that the backpack that was found is right in between the Broughton Hospital and the Northbrook Rest
Wow.
Home.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All points of interest are between the path of Broughton Hospital and their home,
Hmm.
that it sounds like they were probably traveling pretty frequently at the time. So, DNA belonging to someone named Russell Bradley Underhill and Anna Lee Dedmond was found on Aisha's recovered belongings. Russell Bradley Underhill resided in two of the facilities owned and operated by the Dedmonds, and he died in 2004. Anna Lee Dedmond is one of Roy and Connie Dedmond's daughters, and a hair of hers was found on Aisha's undershirt. About 5 days after search warrants were executed in 2025 for the Dedmonds, a witness came forward to the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office. He said that he would go to parties and that the Dedmond sisters would be at these parties as well sometimes in the mid 2000s. And that one time he saw Lizzie Dedmond sobbing while drunk and saying several times that she killed Asha Degree. Her sister Sarah Dedmond then became angry and told Lizzie to shut the fuck up,
Whoa.
which I guess was pretty out of character for Sarah.
Hmm. Wow. Yikes.
Yep, yep, yep. So I had a section in here for theories because again, I thought that I was gonna have to go over all of these crazy theories that were like all over the place a few couple years
Uh-huh.
ago. But I feel like the resounding theory at this point has to be like the path that the
Oh, yeah.
investigators are currently on. So I don't feel like I have to go down all those rabbit
Right,
holes
right.
that
And like, okay, so it's like they were questioned and no arrests have been made. But it's like if someone's breaking down at parties and stuff, surely if they were questioned by officers, imagine how nerve-wracking that would be, especially knowing you're guilty. It's just wild that, I don't know. It's just, that's just weird. That's just,
that there hasn't been a
mm-hmm.
confession.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's ongoing, and all of this is very, very recent too.
Yeah.
So who knows? And they could not, they could very well not be connected at all at this point too. It seems like the best lead for sure in a long
Mm-hmm.
time. So yeah, definitely gonna set my Google alerts to see
Yeah.
what comes up in the future with this. And I hope the family gets some
Right,
answers.
right. And it's like, what is the motive? And like, why did she leave? I guess,
That's what's crazy, dude.
right.
That's where like and that's why the theories go crazy too, because a lot of them were like maybe someone was grooming her and like told her that they're gonna plan this thing for her parents' anniversary. So like if you sneak out with me, we'll plan this thing for and then picked her up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the dogs couldn't pick up her scent, and that's why she didn't bring a coat because someone picked her up. But then why was she walking on the side of the
Right. And
highway?
how did they
And
ever get in contact with her in the first place? Because they didn't have a computer.
right, yes, yep.
So,
So it would have had to be someone that she knew
mm-hmm.
if it was the grooming met like someone from church or someone from the basketball or someone from school, which the school book,
Right. The school book and that other picture.
someone who had that
It was
book.
like they didn't say it was a classmate or.
So that's actually my next note. The photo of the other little girl was never, that was found in the outbuilding, has never been
That's
identified.
so strange and eerie. And like, what if like there was some, I don't know, like pen pal situation somehow like organized through the school? Because I know sometimes that would happen at school. Like I remember pen pal
Yeah.
programs. It's like,
I just feel
yeah,
like investigators would know if there was, but that also was a theory. Like, what if she somehow, however it happened, had some kind of pen pal and like they tricked her and said that this was like a long lost sister or family member of hers or something like that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how they got her out of the house or got her to leave the house.
And but then it's like, so did the people? It's like that, especially the guy who turned around. He would have had to actually see her. It wasn't just something that he thought he saw. You know what I mean? Like when you're looking back, sometimes you can have like false memories or whatever. And you're like, oh,
Right, right,
wait, did
right.
I see that? And then,
Hmm.
but her stuff was in the thingy.
Right. And he called the next day before her stuff in that place had been
Hmm.
found because they didn't search that place until he brought
Hmm.
investigators there where he had seen her. Then they searched that property and then found her belongings there.
So
So
regardless,
it seems she was
but by
there.
herself.
Did she actually go to that outbuilding? Some people say that like her stuff was planted there to throw cops off the trail
Right.
like the next day.
But he actually saw, yeah, dude, I don't know, man.
He saw her there, but and saw her kind of veer into the woods, but then how was she seen 30 minutes later too if she actually went to that outbuilding, unless maybe she went to the outbuilding after the second sighting.
Hmm. That is just so, I'm sure it just must be so frustrating. I mean, that to say the least, for the parents to know that she was right there and just within that short amount of time and just the panic and, uh, that's so sad. And then the dude, of course, died. So it's like you can't even grill him at
Oh, the
all.
one guy,
Yeah.
yeah. But he could have not even been involved. Like his DNA may have just been like
Just because he
in
was one of
the
their
car,
patients or whatever.
right? Or like maybe a hair on one
True.
of their shirts or something. But it is very, it's so strange that it's one of the family members and one of their patients. It's like almost undeniable at that point, that
Right.
it has to be. I don't
There's,
know. I don't, I shouldn't say that
I
though,
just,
because you never
you
know.
never know.
But
And it's also, it's like, how did they know that that little outhouse thingy was there too? And like, because if they planted it there, how did they even know it
if
was
someone did,
there? And
yeah.
would that mean that they would have to be there before? But then there's like the dogs, so I'm sure the dogs would be barking if someone's snooping around. And
Hmm. Right. Yeah, they were saying like if someone had planted it like during the day, maybe the family wouldn't have been as alarmed if the dogs were barking because they'd think, oh, it's just like a
true,
squirrel or,
yeah.
whatever they're barking at. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, thank God they have a strong like lead,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like now, but there's still so many just wild unanswered questions to it.
Right, right. And I'm sure,
Why did she
right. I
leave
was,
in the
yeah,
rain?
when you first were talking about it, I'm like, is this like a sleepwalking situation? You know what I mean? Like, was she just
Oh,
kind of in, because some people can go
hmm,
into a really
that's
deep
true.
trance almost like that and
Mm-hmm.
wake up on the other side of town somehow and they're like, how did I get here?
Right. That's true.
And like, yeah, how did her hair get on
But
her
she packed.
stuff? Yeah, but she packed, yeah.
She packed her, like, and her favorite things she packed. Her basketball uniform, her favorite outfit, her favorite jeans.
I wonder, like, did she get fouled a lot? You know, like, was it common for her to get put on the
I don't think
bench for a
so.
game? Because you would think that would probably, if she's one of the main players, that would probably upset her. And you said that she was feeling, she was acting normal afterwards. Maybe is that weird that she was acting so normal? Like, do you think she would have been more
True.
upset, but she knew that she was going to do something maybe in her mind fun and like, rebellious, like that evening. So she was like, whatever. I don't know, man.
Well, the next evening.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
because that was, yeah, they had the
Oh, that's
sleepover and
right.
then next they went to church and
And
then,
then that night. Okay, yeah, yeah.
but But true, yeah. And then I also wonder too, so she like had her headache and went and laid down for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, I'm like, is that when she like packed up?
Mm.
Because I mean, O'Brien woke up when she just went to the bathroom and remembers her like getting back in bed too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how would she have been able to like wake up and pack?
Was
Like,
maybe
well,
she, when she woke up to go to the bathroom, that was because she woke up to go to the bathroom and he heard her. So what if she was waking up to
mhm,
leave, but then realized he was still awake, so she went back to bed
maybe. Oh, maybe,
and
yeah.
then quickly
And then
packed.
snuck out after.
Ugh, I hate it.
But I feel like he would have woken up from her packing, you know? I feel like she probably packed. I'm like, I know for a fact
Right.
she packed when she went to bed at
Right,
6:30.
right, right. Oh man.
Yeah, dude. This one it's one of those ones.
And then there's like, of course, no
And I've been
body. So,
no, and I hate it so much, but I just feel like because of the backpack in the
mm-hmm.
bag, that something bad
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, for sure. Why else would it be buried like that? Why else would these things be scattered about? It's like the lady's hair is on a missing person's belongings, and
Hmm.
it's like they towed the car, and then the police are like, we can confidently say she was murdered. So there's obviously something that they can't tell us if they can
Hmm.
say that she was, which is so sad.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah.
They said they believe that she
Oh,
was,
okay.
so
Okay. But still, that's a bold.
not like 100%, but
Mm-hmm.
to say it publicly is, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they, yeah, probably know something. Hopefully they're building that
I
case and we'll
know.
hear
I
something.
know. Wow. But
O'Brien went on to attend college. He had a daughter when he was young who looks so much like Aisha. He talked about how difficult it was when his daughter was around Aisha's age because her looks and mannerisms were just so similar to
my
Aisha.
gosh, that's heartbreaking.
It's so
Ugh.
sad. Aisha's family has never given up hope that their little girl is still out there alive somewhere. In February of 2010, Iquilla was talking to The Observer in an interview about how she can't move from the last home Aisha knew them to be in, and she was quoted saying, "This is the last place she knew where we lived. My phone number, that was the last number she knew I had, so I refused to change it. I can't stop change, but what I can stop, I have stopped." I know, it was really hard to get through that without crying.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, that
And
is awful.
more recently, and just a couple weeks ago, February 2026, Aquila was quoted saying, "26 years is a long time of not knowing. We still haven't given up hope that she is still alive, but if they bring me proof that she's not alive, then we'll accept it."
Goodness. That is
I
just.
know.
Oh my gosh. It just makes you want to hug your babies.
I
Ugh.
know, dude. And it's like worst nightmare ever waking up and your kid isn't
I
there.
know. And just like immediately checking the doors. Okay, they're locked. They have to be here. They have to be in here somewhere.
Right.
And oh my goodness.
Yeah, they said they like checked all the closet, you know, like it's just that's where your head goes. It's like, oh, they've got to be hiding in the closet or under a bed. They're somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Every year, the family holds a prayer walk around the date of Aisha's disappearance. There's currently a $100,000 reward for anyone with information leading to a conviction in the disappearance of Asha Degree. Anyone with information should call the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office at 704-484-4788 or the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation at 919-662-4500. And that is it for the Asha Degree case for now. Hopefully, more soon to come.
Yes. Wow. That is crazy.
Well, I guess happy stuff. We should probably talk about some happy things.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like,
Well,
I mean,
well, shoot, we don't really have anything
you know
happy.
what? There is, I'm sure, lots of happy things going on, but there's also,
Is there?
right.
Is
And it
there
might just be
really?
a time like we're,
Read the room.
yeah, we just entered into war, you know. That's what's new. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay.
This would be a funny Patreon clip of us trying to talk about something happy.
We're like, well, there's this. Well, no, never mind. And this. Oh, no, that's not good either.
It all sucks.
Right. And sometimes things just suck, and all we can do is hope and do everything we can to help it get better. So that is our positive, happy stuff for the day is,
We're gonna make good people. We're making good people for the
yep,
future. And
yep,
that's where my hopes
yep.
are.
Spreading and trying to spread love and equality for all. And we're laughing because we're upset.
Yes, yeah, that is, yep. We'll work on the palate
Yeah, we'll work
cleansers
on
next
it.
time. We'll work on the happy
Yeah,
part. Give us a bit.
yeah, for sure. That's it for today's episode of Crimenelia Street. You can follow us on Instagram at Crimenelia Street or on TikTok at Crimenelia ST Podcast. You can watch us on YouTube at Crimenelia Street Podcast. And feel free to send us an email with any comments or episode suggestions to crimeliast@gmail.com. See you later, clowns.
Bye, clowns.